So now, let's now start now. What we want to do now is that we want to deploy our Node.js DynamoDB application to our EC2, AWS EC2. So now, this AWS, you log in. After the login, come here to enter the password. Enter the password. So after the password now, the next thing we need to do now is the login. After login to your AWS account, the next thing you need to do after you log into AWS account is that because we want to create what we call EC2 instance, just for us to be able to deploy our app. So now you go to your EC2, click on EC2. When you go to your EC2, it's loading. You just be patient. Depends on the fasting of your internet. There is no instance that is running anyway. So the first thing we need to do, we need to create an instance. How can we create an instance? You can come here, just click on this place, click here to create an instance. It will ask you to give a name for the instance. So now I want to set Node.js EC2 deployment. EC2 deployment. That is the name given. You scroll down, you need to choose server. I want to choose Ubuntu because this is a free thing. We want to use a free deployment. We choose Ubuntu. After the Ubuntu, you scroll down. You need to create a peer because if you don't create a peer, you will not be able to, log in with SSH, and we need to log in with our SSH server. So now you click here to create a peer. What's the name of the peer? We can use the same name. Let me say Node.js EC2 deployment. EC2 deployment. So now I click on the create peer. So now immediately I click the create peer, it's downloaded for me. So the next thing we need to do, you scroll down a bit, just make sure you click on this to, in fact this one too we need to, but I don't want to check this one. Yes, reason because if you have the domain, it will be easy for us to use the allow HTTP so that we connect it with our domain. So for the security, but since we don't use the domain here, what we want to do now is that we just want to, create an EC2 for our testing of our application. So later, if you want to, later we can, decide to use a domain, configure it with domain DNS, but let me just leave it this way. Scroll down a bit, leave it 8 gig, fine. It's fine. So now the next thing is that you click on the launch instance. Can you see it now? Launch instance. Okay. Launch instance. you just be patient for it. Just hold on for this thing to load. It's still loading. So now just click on the instance to check. It's still on pending. You just be patient until it's running. Just be patient until it's running. You can refresh it. You can refresh again. Now it's running fine. So now after running now, the next thing you need to connect to your distance. There are different ways of connecting to. Let me just show down before we proceed on this thing. So there are different ways of connecting to our EC2. You check on that particular distance. This is your public IP. So public IP that we are going to use. Now once you check on this, you go to connect. Look at this connect. Click on connect. When you click on connect, there are different ways of connecting to AWS EC2, or I'm going to use the EC2 SSH client to connect to my EC2 client. So by using this, remember that this file that we just downloaded, you need to keep it somewhere. So we'll locate that particular place. So now let me just quickly do that one. I need to first confirm if SSH is installed in that my system, local system file is installed. So now after installing, you need to come back to this place, your your EC2 file, copy this. Under hard drive, under hard drive, CD this. So now I'll now go back to my this, connect to EC2 by clicking on this, go back to this place. Fine. So it's connected. Now, as this one is connected, let me just clear the screen first. This. Now, ls. So there's nothing inside. There's nothing inside. Let me see ls minus la. Fine. So I can now start my installation afresh now. So I will stop here. This is a connection to EC2. So the next thing is that we are going to start deploying the Node.js to our AWS EC2 instance. So now, after deploy everything to EC2 AWS EC2 instance, now by using the SSH connection. So the important thing now is that this connection is connected perfectly. So I use Node.js, DynamoDB, and Node.js DynamoDB, and also the S3 bucket to create the application which we are going to deploy here. So after deploy it here, we can now see it live by using this particular key. By using this particular public key, let it load. This public key, this is the public key, this is the public key. Now if you copy the public key and paste it, you won't see anything. It's not going to work for now because we've not started deploying Nginx and also the PM2 to start all the server. So let me stop here.